Allie, and today I have Jake and Jack with me, and we're going to have a bit of a roundtable discussion about how the second official week of college basketball went. So first we're going to talk about the men's game that happened this past Tuesday where we played Creighton here in Chrysler. It was a quality 10-point win for the guys. Just want to know what you guys think about how this game looked compared to maybe the Appalachian State or the Saginaw Valley games we saw a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I think there's been a little bit of distress about the men's team early on in the season, but down at halftime by 3 points and then making adjustments, getting it together, I thought this was a really good performance from Michigan, and it's a win that we might not look back on very fondly because it's November right now, but this is a quality win early in the season.
Yeah, to me what stood out for Michigan was you saw the variety in their offense throughout the game. The first half, Wolverines were really able to stay in the game with Creighton, who was shooting the ball very well themselves, off of the three ball. Then you had the, as you mentioned, Jack, the halftime deficit, Michigan coming out of the second half, really emphasizing more the two-man game between Xavier Simpson and John Teske, more so than the three ball. They attempted as many threes in the second half as they made in the first half. So I think that gave them a little more balance, a little more consistency on the offensive end. Teske in particular, really impressive. I think he had a double-double. One concern I have for the Wolverines after this men's game is they were out-rebounded significantly against the Blue Jays, who did not have a single player taller than 6'8". That cannot happen down the road if Michigan's going to build off this 2-0 start to the season. So that's something we'd really like to see improve going forward. But all in all, very solid win for the Wolverines, who are still clearly figuring a bunch of things out early in the season.
Yeah, that was one thing I did notice was Creighton really played at a fast pace in the first half, and that was a great adjustment we made, slowing it down. But the bottom line is Teske was breathing hard out there. Creighton did not have a very deep roster. They have a lot of injuries, and they still out-rebounded us just by kind of moving around and capitalizing on some easy mistakes that we can fix, like boxing out. So I think those are things we can fix, hopefully. I know this Elon team we play on Friday actually rebounds really well. They're sixth in the country in rebounding, so that'll be something we'll look to improve coming up.
Yeah, the rebounding woes were definitely troublesome and worrying, maybe looking forward on the season. But I think that halftime adjustment that we were able to make was something that we can be really proud of, and something that the Wolverines haven't always been historically great at. So I think that looked good for Coach Juwan Howard and the men moving forward. And our women's team also is 2-0. They had a game Friday against Western and then a game Sunday against Bradley that they won by 20 points. Jack, you want to tell us a little bit about the game?
Yeah, the Bradley win, actually a very similar score to the one against Western. So I thought good stuff from the women, defended well, and then were able to score a lot of points and not look back. Allie, your sister was out there. What did you see from her?
It was really cool to get to see her playing out in Chrysler. She had a third game back from her hip surgery she had a year ago, so that was pretty exciting. I got to see her take a charge against Naz Hillman, who is my favorite women's basketball player here, so that was pretty special. All in all, Bradley just had a tough time keeping up with the Wolverines. They were only shooting 26% from behind the three-point arc, which is hard way to win games like that.
Yeah, and we have to give credit where credit's due, and the Wolverines were kind of top-heavy against Bradley on Sunday. They had three players in double figures. You mentioned Naz Hillman, Allie. She finished with 16 points. Amy Dilk, also a sophomore, had 13, and freshman Michelle Cedar had 11. Michigan led wire to wire against Bradley. Outcome was never really in doubt. They also had 29 bench points. So Wolverines, again, ranked in the top 25 right now. Good to see them get another nice win to start the season. They'll be in Akron this weekend for the Akron Classic, and that starts tomorrow, also on Saturday. So, again, good stuff from the Lady Wolverines this past weekend, and looking forward to see them keep it up in non-conference season.
It's always good for us as a Big Ten school to get some competition against mid-majors, and specifically this game against Bradley, playing a Missouri Valley team. Kentucky also had a game against Missouri Valley team this week. They played Evansville, but didn't have quite the same luck that our ladies had.
Yeah, the Purple Aces go out there and frankly dominate Kentucky. They're obviously an inferior team when you look at the roster, so for them to win in the fashion that they did, where they had the lead there down the stretch and did not give it up, that was really impressive. Kentucky put on the press, and Evansville faced it and did a really good job. I thought that was an impressive win.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give credit where credit is due once again to Evansville, a team that finished 11-21, 10 games under 500 in 2018-2019, came into this game against Kentucky as 25-point underdogs. It's no small margin right there. Rupp Arena, we know how tough of a place that is to play, one of the toughest in college basketball. Evansville, Purple Aces, held Kentucky to just 4 of 17 from beyond the three-point arc, and the Wildcats only held the lead for 15 seconds in the second half. Interesting tidbit, because we know how long Calipari's been at Kentucky. This was his first loss to a mid-major team during his tenure at Kentucky. Very impressive when you think about the kinds of young rosters he's dealing with every single year. You could argue that something like this may have been inevitable, but no less of a shock as Evansville stuns Kentucky in Rupp Arena. Probably the biggest upset so far of the college basketball season.
You talk about the freshmen on Kentucky's team, and I think that's where you can maybe lose a game like that to an experienced Evansville team. Evansville's coach was a former star at Kentucky, so kind of a cool homecoming for him. And wow, the Evansville athletic department cashing in on Kentucky, paying them a lot of money. And an interesting question you can look at now is, well, Michigan State was ranked number 1, and Kentucky took them down and moved to number 1 in the country. Now does Evansville leap from unranked to number 1 in the country? Who knows? But that would be pretty cool to see maybe them get some votes in the top 25 poll next week.
You talked about the inexperience from those Kentucky freshmen, and a freshman class that we're particularly excited about here is next year's women's basketball recruiting class is ranked number 12 by ESPN right now. So I think we're going to talk about the 4 players we have coming in. Jack, do you want to kick us off with Megan Fiso?
Yeah, Megan is a 3-star recruit from Seattle. She's a guard, but she grew up playing in the post, so she's got a lot of experience kind of playing all the positions on the floor. I think that is what contributes to what everyone says. She's got a really high basketball IQ and great court vision. She should be a really good addition to the basketball team.
Jake, you want to tell us a little bit about Cameron Williams?
Absolutely. So Cameron Williams, Wolverines really, really excited about her. She's a 5-star post player, 6'2", out of Whitney Young High School in Illinois. She was ranked number 4 overall in the post rankings. She can dunk. This is no small feat right there. We know what that means in terms of athleticism. I'm very excited to have her come in. She was also considering Florida and Louisville, among others. So major coup for the Wolverines, particularly with the Cardinals involved. We know how established of a basketball school that is, so especially recruiting in the Midwest as well. So very excited for Cameron Williams. No doubt the headliner of this class, and a very, very important coup for Kim Barnes-Arico.
Yeah, and Cameron Williams also a big grab because we're getting her from Whitney Young High School. You mentioned lots of great basketball talent out of there, so it'll be a good recruiting ground going forward, hopefully, for the Wolverines. And our last 2 stars we're going to talk about are both from Michigan. First, we have Whitney Solom, who's 6'4" and was from Heartland High School. She was Livingston County Player of the Year when she was a junior and averaged 10.9 points and 8.8 rebounds. And the last Wolverine is Elise Stuck, who's 6'1" and from Charlevoix. She is the all-time leading scorer at Charlevoix High School right now in her final season, still racking up more points, and averaged a double-double as a junior with 21 points and 10 rebounds. So pretty impressive recruiting class for the Lady Wolverines, and we'll be excited to see them out in the court next year. And that's all we have for the Roundtable today. Make sure to tune into our YouTube channel to check out all content Alley-Oop.